Good morning, Cityside. Those of you joining us here physically in our space, welcome. It is beautiful to see you with us. Those of you out there somewhere, we hope that this service provides you with some stillness, some beautiful contemplation, light, love, a space for you to know that you are abundant, beautiful, and blessed. I couldn't seem to fall asleep. There was so much on my mind, searching for that peace, but the peace I could not find. So then I kneeled down to pray. Pray, help me please. Then he said, you don't have to cry, 'cause I'll supply your needs as soon as I stopped worrying how the story ends. I let go and I let God have the way. That's when things start happening. When I stopped looking at back then, I let go and I let God have its way. Oh yeah. There's so much going on. Sometimes I can't find my way, and oftentimes I struggle from day to day. I had to realize that it's not my battle to fight, yeah. And I had to know that if I put it in my hands, everything will be all right. Soon as I stopped worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. When I stopped looking back then, I let go and I let God have its way. Let go, let God, yeah. Let go, let God, let go, let God, oh, let go, let God, yes, let go. My brother, my sister, you can handle it, won't you let go? Oh, let God have its way. As soon as I stopped worrying how my story ends, I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things started happening. I stopped looking back then. I let go and I let God have its way. Let go and let God, let go, let God. Oh, let God.
Thank you, Tiffany and Greg. That was beautiful. Good morning, Cityside. Welcome to our Sunday service. I'm Reverend Amy Daniels, and I'm the spiritual director here at Cityside. And if you're joining us on the live stream, or if you're here for the first time, we especially want to welcome you. You can live stream every week on our website by just clicking on the Watch Online button. But if you would like to follow along with today's service, you can also go to the website and you can use your phone to go to the calendar page of the website, select today's date and click View the Sunday Bulletin. You'll be able to see the affirmations and other important information there, so we encourage you to do that. Cityside is affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living, and we are about practical spirituality that empowers you to create the life you want. And we honor all paths, we practice oneness, and we embrace new thought and wisdom paths. We're committed to providing a supportive community where you can explore and deepen in your own spiritual path by connecting to the spirit and wisdom within you. And I can't think of any better time for us all to be doing that together. So, licensed spiritual practitioner Rob Wozniak is holding vigil for us today. And what he's doing is sitting in a meditative state, holding the space for us to all have a transformative experience. We also want to invite everyone to like us on social media and to help spread the word about Cityside. If you're on Facebook, you can share the live stream link or share the YouTube link, but let people know you're here. Check in. So our theme this month, our theme this fall is exploring your true self. And this month, we're going to focus on what blocks your connection to your true self. And Reverend Darrell Jones is here today, and he's going to share his message, Automation, Rumination, and Addiction to the Self. That's a mouthful. I don't know about anybody else, but sometimes I spend time ruminating. Does anyone else spend time ruminating, especially this week after certain events? It's easy to spend time ruminating. And Darrell and I were talking after we prayed and meditated this morning, and we were just talking about how it's so important for us to keep ourselves connected to our true selves right now. So that's what Reverend Darrell's going to be speaking about. So excited to learn what he has to say. Now we're going to share our vision and mission, and you can find that in the online Sunday bulletin. If you're on the live stream, it's going to pop up on the screen for you. But please join me in affirming together. We envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love in action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic self.
Thank you, Amy. Reverend Amy Daniels. All right, everybody. God is so good to me. Come on. Hey. I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. Come on. I'm feeling good down in my soul. God is so good. I'm feeling good down in my soul. God is so good. I'm feeling good in my soul. God is so good. I say yes. My God is so good to me, yes. In my time of trouble singing, God is so good. Oh, in my time of trouble singing, God is so good. Said in my time of trouble singing, God is so good. Oh, my God is so good to me, yes. And I said, every day in every way, God is so good. Oh, every day in every way. God is so good. I said every day in every way. God is so good. Oh my God, it's so good to me. Yes. One more time. I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. Got up in the morning singing, God is so good. I got up in the morning singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. That's right, I said, my God is so good to me.
Good morning. I'm Eric Todd Rushing, and I serve as Sunday Director here at Cityside. If this is your first time at Cityside, we want to welcome you and thank you for being in community with us today. You can join our mailing list by clicking the subscribe button in the header of our website. We would love to stay in touch with you. And this fall, you can deepen in your spiritual practice through education here at Cityside. Beginning this Tuesday, October 6th, join Reverend Amy and licensed spiritual practitioner Connie Hodak for self-mastery. Dive into looking at how to create your life from your sense of inner being using key science of mind principles. And then on Sunday, October 18th, you can join the Set Your Whole Self Free workshop with Reverend Russ Laguerre. Come learn how to build awareness around the automatic habits and responses in your day-to-day life. Registration for both of these opportunities is posted on the events page of our website. And then, as we approach the presidential election, our individual and collective spiritual practice in holding the consciousness of oneness and possibility is critically important. Beginning on October 25th, we will engage as a community in a 10-day Vision for America, where there will be multiple opportunities for you to connect in community and to hold the possibility of transformation for our country. Vision for America will be supported by our spiritual practitioners and the prayer ministry team. So we invite you to make a reservation and join us in person on October 25th, or watch online for this experiential service, a time of community meditation, visioning, prayer, and holding the consciousness of unity, justice, prosperity, and equity for all people. So stay tuned for more about Vision for America by making sure you're getting our newsletter. Our newsletter has been updated, and you can look forward to more content, spiritual tools, and tips from the Cityside practitioner team, hearing more from Reverend Amy and from community members about what Cityside means to them. So hit that subscribe button in the header of our website. If you would like to serve this community by supporting the check-in process on Sundays, we would be so grateful to have community members serving in this role every week, and special thanks to Jason for serving in check-in today. And if you enjoy chatting and connecting with community members, then please consider becoming a social media host to chat on the Facebook Live and YouTube Live during the service. If you are interested in either of these roles, please email me at sunday@cityside.me, or you can fill out a form on the Get Involved page of our website. If you would like to contribute in either of these ways, we would be so grateful. So whether it is through education, study groups, service, or prayer, we hope that you will lean into this community and deepen in your spiritual growth.
Hello, Cityside. I'm Reverend Judy Raniger-Meza, and I am here to offer our reading, a brief meditation, and prayer. Our reading today comes from the Science of Mind, page 38. We are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is, flowing through us, a creative something. Call it what you will. The sum total of all of our thought, will, purpose, and belief creates a tendency in this law that causes it to react to us according to the sum total of that belief. So I invite you now to either close your eyes or have a soft gaze, turn within in whatever way is most comfortable for you. And as we come into that center, we are invited to, as we prepare for the service and Reverend Darrell's talk, to release the automatic thoughts, the default settings, the rumination, and just settle into this place of rest, this place of peace, and commune for a few moments in silence with your divine. So as we turn now in prayer, we just stay in this place of rest, this place of connection, this place of love and peace, where the Spirit dwells, the indwelling Spirit of the Most High. And I know that this place of peace, this grace, this love, this power is here now. It is within me, and it is within each of us who are here today, whether in the seats or participating online, those who will be a part of this service later in the week, that we are all one with this presence of God, this oneness, this grace, this peace, this love that dwells in the center of our very being, in our true selves. And so united in this place, in this Spirit, connected to it and one to another, I speak this blessing upon our service, knowing that all unfolds in grace, in love, in peace, and in wisdom. And so I bless Reverend Darrell as he gives his talk today, knowing that he has made himself available to the Spirit, to the indwelling wisdom and grace that is God, that he has allowed himself to be present to it. And that wisdom comes forth today in what he shares, and each of us receives that which we most need to hear and bring into our lives and into our experience. And I bless all of that, all the rest of what happens within our service, the music ministry that lifts us up and brings us into connection with God and to our true selves. I bless all those who make this possible every Sunday, our tech teams and the volunteers. And I just know that we are connected even in these difficult times where we may be physically separate, that this community remains connected in this love and this grace and this peace of God. It is present here, it is present now, it is present always. I give great thanks. I bless all that is to come. I release this prayer, and together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Judy. That was beautiful. So the song that we are featuring today, the first Sunday in October, seasons are changing, life is changing, and this song in the lyrical content is so beautiful. I'm a huge fan of these two gentlemen who have shared their music with these Centers for Spiritual Living Communities. And it's Gary Lynn Floyd and Jamie Lula co-wrote this tune. This is called God in Everyone. Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone. Let me be an instrument, guided by an heaven sent. May these grapes of pain ferment, alchemize to love's content, ever be a sacrament, knowing God is my intent. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around me. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Rolling like a thundercloud, let me live my love out loud, standing for mankind and proud, baptized in a holy shroud. Peace be still and know me now. God is in all I have found. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word, as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Spinning like the prayer fields, turning like Ezekiel's wheels. Nothing like a kiss seals the spirit I become. Knowing what I'm here for, rowing on to distant shores, flowing from the infinite, God in everyone. God, in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in
Thank you for that song. It kind of just made me take a deep breath, feeling some space, a pause. Good morning, everyone. I am grateful and honored to be kicking off this month's theme of exploring the blocks to our true self as we continue to explore what the true self is all about. And we were talking, I'm always listening to Spirit before service. So all week, I'm always listening to Spirit, never not. But I always feel like there's something in particular that gets iterated in a passing word or phrase that someone mentions in the morning. And we were chatting before service started, and the word dragging, I don't know if you remember saying it, Reverend Judy, this feeling of this time dragging on. And there's a fatigue, I think, that many of us have hit. At least I know I've hit a wall of fatigue over and over again. It wasn't just 6 months, 7 months in. It was a month in. It was 8 weeks in. It was 9 weeks in. And the truth of the matter is that there is going to be a dragging on, I think, of uncertainty, whether it's about a pandemic or your health or your relationship or your financial well-being. There's going to be some level of uncertainty that feels like it's dragging us. And you may have an opinion about that, a philosophy, a belief, and I'm not here to necessarily question that. But what I do want to champion is that the stresses in our life are always going to, on some level, be present. And where we have the power is in the responsibility and how we respond to that. So you may feel like some days you're being drug through the ringer, through the mud, through the muck and mire, and some days you may feel like you're pushing or you're walking and it's easy. But regardless, there's something that you can do to be in a space of resiliency so that you can be in relationship to what's there. And that's what we talk about all the time. And then there's these things called blocks to the true self, the human experience. Last month, we looked at the spiritual self, right? If we could live 2 inches off the ground and kind of float all the time in this kind of magical, mystical state of our spiritual self, unaffected by the conditions of the world, then that would be amazing. But we are not simply spirit, we are also human, manifest. So this coming together and communing and marrying the spiritual self and our human self is a practice of calling forward and bringing our true self to the situation at all times. So this month, or this Sunday, I wanted to look at the default activity of the mind. So I'm going to embrace, I'm not going to imitate Ernest Holmes, but I'm going to embrace, I believe, where Ernest Holmes was really trying to get consciousness to in terms of thinking about the science, the actual happenings in the body and in the consciousness as we move through our life. What's happening neurologically? What's happening emotionally? What's happening biochemically? This to me is just a marvelous thing to continue to grow and understand in. And what if you could free yourself from some of the thinking, the automation, the rumination that kind of keeps you down? What if you could do that? That would seem almost magical, right? Automation, the very definition and the nature of the word is that it's automatic. So we can't always shift automation, but there's a beat right after that automatic response happens and reaction happens that we can choose how to respond to it. That's what I want to inspire you with today. We are living in, I had a whole list of words here, an interesting time, a difficult time, a challenging time, a maddening time, a crazy time. There's lots and lots of adjectives that we can give to this. And this time is no more or less powerful than any other time on the planet. Do you hear me? This time right now is no more or less powerful than any other time on the planet. Whether it's engaging in a meditation practice to build that resiliency to the dragging, to bring some sense of calm to the constant stimulation that makes us anxious, or whether it's going to the polls to vote. I have heard people say, it's more important now than it is ever before. It's kind of not true. It's not. Why is it more important now than it was yesterday? It's always important. Everything matters all the time, not some of the time. The challenge is that collectively and individually, what we have said matters has not always been consistent and true. Right? There has been this wide spectrum of what people think is significant and what matters. But what I'm here to tell you is that every single moment matters all the time, especially when it comes to our consciousness, especially when it comes to our relationship with life. Everything has always mattered, whether it's starting a meditation practice or choosing to meditate, whether it's choosing what you put into your mouth to nourish your immune system during this time, whether it be the foods that you eat, the supplements you take, the exercise that you do, whether it be the vote and going to vote. It all matters. It always has mattered, and it will continue to matter. So if there's a part of you right now that thinks, oh, well, once it really matters, then I'll do something. What? It always matters. We've just chosen to let it go. We've just chosen to go into a space of comfort and ease. And this is what our body and our mind tries to do. We try to make life easy. We don't want it to be difficult. We don't want it to be challenging. We try to create as much automation and ease, known as like these things right here. How much of these things streamlined our life? It's awesome. But there's something that we've given up in this zest, in this zeal for automating our lives. We've given up a little bit of our power. We've given up our responsibility for sure for a lot of things. And so today's talk, I really want to bring us back and inspire us to a space of recognizing that you matter. That what you choose, what you think, what you digest, whether it be in your thought or whether it be what you digest in your body physically, it all matters. And there's going to be moments where we're really high and conscious, and there's going to be other moments where we kind of fall asleep. So this is not about trying to say you have to get to some destination and then you're just like perfect or you're just some golden child. I struggle just like everyone else. I practice just like everyone else. And that's the key, is we got to keep practicing. We got to remember the truth. The truth self is not only individual, but it's collective. And I want to highlight that especially, it's not more important now, but just as it's significant right now as we step getting closer to the election. I'm not going to tell you which way to think or which way to vote. I just want you to be engaged, and to be engaged from your true self. And what is the true self? The true self, I'll tell you first by what it is not. The true self is not afraid. The true self is not shaming. The true self does not try to put blame on someone else. The true self takes responsibility. The true self is wise and abundant and kind and funny. The true self is conscious. And it's not, again, about getting to, well, I gotta find my true self. There's nothing to find. Your true self is always with you, but oftentimes we just forget that it's there. We get hijacked by what other people tell us. We get hijacked by seeing death tolls every single second as we look at the screen on the television, and we forget a little bit about some other things. I'm not saying that that's not important, but understand what's happening inside neurologically. When we see those numbers, we are being hijacked into a state of fear constantly. When we are in a space of depletion, whether it be fear, we are dehydrated, we're not getting enough food with nutrients, we are underslept, which is probably happening to all of us right now, right? As we stay up and we watch more TV than we need to, as we drink more coffee to make sure that we're up and we're getting dehydrated, as we're trying to eat what's easy, it's probably less nutrient dense. We're doing all of these things to kind of zap ourselves. And as we zap our physical health, that's also zapping our consciousness and our ability to be connected to the true self. So what is our work? What do? We return, we get back, we come back to the self. How do we do that? I'm going to speak to it in a little bit. One of the things that I have just been blessed with in my work is I have always had this desire. I joke about it all the time, but it's really a term of endearment. I call myself a nerd. I love to read. I love to understand. And there is that space of like, in all the understanding, we have to practice, right? So there is only so much intellect that we can engage in. At some point, you have to put down the book and try doing a push-up. You can't just read about doing it. But there's something about information that's very, very powerful. And there's a little bit of information that I want you to take note of today. And it's about not only our spiritual self, but to understand a little bit more about our neurological self, our mental and emotional and even biochemical self, that can highlight, I think, how some of these blocks are happening, but they're not, you don't choose blocks. You wouldn't choose to have blocks in your life, right? Does anyone here choose to have blocks like, oh, I really want a traffic jam, right? That's a simple block. No one wants a traffic jam. Oh, yeah, I want some extra clots in my arteries. I choose that block, right? I'm being a little morbid here, but no one would choose that. We don't consciously choose the blocks. A lot of the blocks that happen are coming beneath the surface. So I wanted to look at automation, rumination, and this addiction to self. What's happening in the mind? Upwards of 90% of the brain's energy is spent on automated activity. Let me repeat that. 90% of the energy that your mind is expending right now, that the brain is consuming right now, the glucose that it's assimilating to create energy so things can move, 90% of that is happening on automated activities inside the brain, automated activities inside the body. You're not choosing it. Right? Right now, the oxygen coming in through the breath and going into the bloodstream and being distributed through the body, you're not going, okay, let me change the gas. Let me take the H2O and distribute it this way. We're not doing that consciously. But something is. That innate intelligence of this divine specimen known as you is doing that. And it's all happening right here. There's something called the default mode network that neurologists talk about, and that's the 90% of the brain. It is constantly just toggling and taking care of tasks. All of this is happening beneath the surface of our awareness. So on some level, we don't have any conscious relationship to. Like, we can do things, we can take some different breaths to slow down the heart, There have been some studies that show that when you do certain things like meditate, you can affect how the body assimilates sugars and make it more prone to assimilate it in a healthier way. But on the regular basis, the body's just doing what it's doing. It's automated. It's taking care of itself. So like if you walk by a fire and you feel the heat from it, immediately things start to happen in the body, in the mind, and in the biochemistry to protect you from walking into the fire. Or if you walk up to the edge of a cliff, or if you walk to a staircase, all of these things start to automatically happen to help you be in relationship to what's there. This also points not only to the unconscious activity beyond our control, but it's also the nature of the conscious mind. Much of our conscious thinking and choice is automated. We let go of control and we let go of responsibility. Sometimes it's hijacked, sometimes we're lazy, sometimes we're just tired. But the truth is that a lot of the thinking that we have about things is automated, and I want to prove it to you right now. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, close your eyes. You may have done this exercise with me before, someone else. But you're not going to effort in any way. I'm going to speak some words to you, and immediately images, psychological reactions, emotions, even bodily sensations are going to happen. Blue, white, money, healthcare system, red, hope, animals, presidential election, beloved. Immediately, with no effort on your part, automatically, without trying, just hearing those words, things came into your mental awareness, into your emotional experience, and even into your physiological response. We aren't able to control that necessarily, right? If we could, and that was our work, then we would be, it would be kind of a weird experience to just be walking around and like, oh my gosh, I'm about to look at this thing, what's going to happen? We can't control all of that. But what we can be in powerful relationship to is the conscious response to those things. That is what I believe our teaching in the science of mind is all about. That there is a law that is always working for us, and it's always propagating and moving through us, and it's acting upon everything. This quote that Reverend Judy read, there was another paragraph after it, or a couple sentences after it I want to read to you. So we are thinking, willing, knowing conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is a flow, and there is a flowing through us, a creative something. Call it what you will. The sum total of all thought, will, purpose, and belief creates a tendency in the law, and it causes a reaction according to that sum total of belief. Ignorance to the law, no one's clear from the effects of this. So just because you think you don't know about it doesn't mean that you're not using it. The law is the law. It works. Creativity doesn't stop because you're not understanding all the ins and outs of creativity. Ignorance of the law excuses no one from its effects. If then certain specific ways of thought and belief have produced limitations, some of the automation and the rumination that's there, other beliefs will and can change them. But we must learn to believe. The approach should be direct and it should be specific. I don't know if I'd call myself a philosopher, but I love philosophy. And I found Socrates hanging out with me this week. A very powerful yet simple statement. The unexamined life is not worth living. And I want to be very specific about what I'm pointing to and inviting you to digest with that. We are constantly examining the world, and we have opinions about what is and isn't happening. I want you to take a good look at yourself, not from a space of judgment, but from a space of awareness, understanding what's happening in your mind and in your consciousness. Because if the sum total of thoughts after an hour makes up what your experience is and what the law acts on, if you say a word of prayer, a word of truth at the first second of that hour, and you say, I am love, but then the other 59 minutes of that hour, your mind is in doubt, worry, blame, and shame, the sum total of that hour is what? It is not love. And if our mind is just constantly reacting to things, it is automated. Whoa. There is an unexamined or unconscious level of who we are that is conscious, though, that I think we can be a little bit more responsible for, and that is rumination. As Reverend Amy said, we all ruminate. I ruminate all the time. All the time. And typically, rumination is stories that we tell ourselves, right? There are histories, tendencies. This is where beliefs get reinforced. And I don't think that rumination is necessarily good or bad. I don't want to put a label on anything. But what I do know is that rumination is a level of automation that is not always of our choosing. Again, let's go back to an hour. And your intention, your desire, is to have a really productive hour. You've got an assignment that you've got to work on for school. You've got something that you're trying to get done for work. And your intention for the next hour is to be productive. And all of a sudden, your mind goes into, yeah, but there's that time I don't know if I'm not that productive of a person. I'm not that productive of a person because, there's always something else to do. And oh my gosh, I'm working at home now and I've got to make sure that the dishes are clean. And it doesn't allow me to be productive. I've never really been that great of a productive person. I remember that time in college that I was trying to get that project done and I had to turn it in 2 hours later. And yeah, my professor let me do it, but it just wasn't good. That is very charged emotionally. And the law is acting upon it. And then we go back and we try to be productive and we wonder why we're distracted. What are we telling ourselves? We're ruminating. We are reinforcing. We are reincorporating. There's a teaching point that I've been working on in my own work that I want to bring forward. So not only in our physical, mental, and emotional body are we creatures of habit, but we are in our mind. Right? There are habituations. And what gets repeated is strengthened, period. So if you hear nothing else and there's lots of words, automation's kind of a big thing to digest. Rumination, just because it's more than one syllable. My father-in-law always jokes, she's like, you're using those 3-syllable words. I don't simplify it. What gets repeated gets strengthened in your life. So if nothing else, what is it that you are repeating? In thought in particular. Whatever you are repeating in thought is getting strengthened and it is strong. So let me go quickly so we can get into some prayer here. The small self, our addiction to the self. So addiction is a charged word, and we could spend a lot of time on that, but I want you to realize that there is an addiction. There is this tendency, this craving, and this yearning in terms of the true self to be addicted to what I would call the small self. In New Thought teachings, we kind of designate that there's a small s and a capital S, right? So the small s self is the ever-changing self. This body is never the same weight. I check it every single morning. But somewhere in my mind, I expect it to stay at a certain level. Right? I want to be at this weight. I'm going to eat this food, and I still expect it to stay the same. But there's so many factors that change it. I love my wife. We've been happily married. We celebrated 4 years, and we're going to celebrate 4 more and 4 more after that. But guess what? Our love is constantly changing. The expression of it and the relationship and the dialogue that we need to have with it is transient. It's not constant. It doesn't stay at one level. It requires attention and work. So the small components, that doesn't necessarily mean lesser, but I designate that as because they are transient, they are constantly changing. Whereas the capital S, the true self, are aspects of who we are that are non-dualistic and can't be poured into a cup. They are qualities. They are ideas. And if we can be connected to our true self and bring that true self into what we might call the small livings of our life, bring the love that we are that is constant, bring the wisdom that we are, bring the fun that we are, bring the creative self, bring the productive self into our work, into our relationships, into our relationship with fear and anxiety and all of the human emotional experiences that we have, that's a very different way of living. But it requires work and responsibility. Are you willing to take that? It doesn't mean you have to plan out the next 10 years of your life. You don't need to get a day planner and go like, all right, now let me map out how I'm going to live in my true self. You live in your true self moment by moment by moment through awareness, coming back. You're going to step outside and away from your true self as soon as you get off of this service today in some way, shape, or form. I know I will. I'm going to drive away from here, and someone's going to do something on the road that makes me upset and make me have an opinion about life and pull me into a space of simplicity and reinforce some of the pathways in my mind that I don't really want to reinforce. Does anyone get disappointed? Yeah? Okay. What does disappointment do for you? It lets you feel righteous, if I can just own it for a minute. Disappointment doesn't do anything for you. It lets you feel righteous. It lets you feel good. It lets you judge. It lets you blame. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if we are constantly reinforcing disappointment, that neural pathway is ripe and ready. So if you've ever had the experience, or maybe you know someone who overreacts to something that's something small, like maybe you get some food and it's not quite prepared the way you want it to, you're like, people don't know how to cook. What's wrong with the people are just lazy today? And it's like, whoa, they just forgot to, not put the sunflower seeds on the side. But there's this groove of disappointment in our neurology that's been automated. And so without thinking about it, we just slip back into that and it's amplified. Our true self is a little bit more than that simple slip into the groove of thoughts. But it takes work. It takes some time. One more quick story. A Harvard comparison study, just again to speak to what's going on, who we are as human beings. This Harvard comparison study was between humans and chimpanzees. They were both given a certain period of time to fast, all right? No eating. At the end of the fast, they were given a choice. You can have 2 treats right now, or you can wait 2 more minutes and get 6 treats. Humans waited 20% of the time, whereas chimpanzees, 90% of them waited. Now, are we less than chimpanzees? I don't think there's a greater than or less than, and there's lots of, digestion of what is happening neurologically. But as it relates to our talk and this automation and rumination, we also do a lot of rationalizing as humans. We make things okay. We don't pause to really think through our decisions. That is evidence of that. 2 minutes, people weren't willing to wait to get greater abundance in their life. How many times in your life have you been in that position where you're like, oh my gosh, I got to make a decision right now. I've got to do something about it right now. If I don't do something about it right now, the whole world's going to blow up. You couldn't wait 2 minutes, and maybe it was 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever the increment of time was. But how willing are you to pause, connect to your true self, and then bring forward a decision, then bring forward a yes, then bring forward a no? We are powerful beings. We have a powerful mind, but a lot of times we slip into patterns, habits, behaviors, automation, rumination, and this addiction to some of the simpler, smaller parts of ourself that make it easy to disconnect from the true nature of God. That is always who we are. It is always who we have been and always will be. We are probably on the verge of a great spiritual awakening. People are so tired of looking for things where they do not exist that they are going to more and more completely open their thought to the realization that spirit is an active presence. But if we spend our entire time trying to find out why it does not work, we shall never find out why it does work. Arguing is often a waste of time. Somehow, there must come to the individual an interior conviction that we are one with the universe and the Spirit flows through us at the level of our recognition and embodiment of it. For this is the way, the truth, and the life. How long ago do you think that was written? We are on the verge of a great spiritual awakening, is the first sentence. Almost 100 years ago, this guy named Ernest Holmes. Every single moment matters. The power of 100 years ago, it mattered then. The power of this moment matters now. Every single thought and interaction is significant. You cannot control all of them, but you can be aware of the response that you have to life and the container that you are creating in your consciousness. Ernest Holmes goes on to talk about the law of correspondence, the limit of our ability to demonstrate good, abundance, love, light, whatever it is that you want to demonstrate in your life, depends on our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desires. For the law of correspondence works from the belief to the thing, but it is within our power to provide a greater mental equivalent through the unfolding of consciousness. And this growth from within will finally lead to freedom. Let's get to freedom, people. I'm so excited. Thank you, Reverend Amy, that you're doing this holding the vision for a heightened thing as we move towards the election. There's nothing but mudslinging and blaming and name calling. And you know, I have my opinions, but I don't wish harm on anyone. God bless President Trump right now. May his body be well. May he be filled with loving kindness. May all the people that take care of him be well. May we all be graceful and at ease, and may we all be happy, a little loving kindness to the world. There's no amount of pain or suffering that someone else has that's going to make our life better. Let us all be free, and we can be empowered and start with the consciousness that we hold. Where is your mind? Where is your thought? Become aware. The last philosopher that I want to quote goes by the name of Ice Cube. If you were a 1990s rap fan at all. One of his songs starts off with a lyric, "Check yourself before you wreck yourself." You are responsible for this thing. This is the last final frontier that no one else can mess with. There's no law. There's nothing that's going to do anything to this but what you let it do. So be conscious, be kind to it, and be in this practice of prayer. That is why spiritual mind treatment, and I'm going to use that language very specifically, it's going to be brought forward by the practitioners at the end of the month, but we treat the mind with that which we desire to know, not to coerce anything or anyone, but to put into the law the thing that is always acting. We give it what we want, as opposed to waiting for something to happen. This moment, this moment, this moment, and this moment is the most powerful one in your life. So let's bless this moment with a prayer and call it good. I'm so grateful to remember and recognize that there is a power and presence that is above, below, through, and around the automatic movement in our life. We are not disempowered by some of the seemingly regular, habituated activities in our life. Let us be empowered by remembering that there is a true self that indwells us. It's in our physical body, it's in our mind, it's in our hearts, it's in our souls, it's in the very fabric of not only our individual experience, but the collective one as well. And the way to activate it is to choose to do it over and over and over again, not just on Monday, not just on Sunday, but every single day. So here and now, I just take a moment to activate the true self by the very power of this word and our collective intention to remind ourselves, to remember, to realign, to create space for something else other than the stories that are automated and ruminating beneath the surface. We call forward the story that God is good, as the song was sung today. I got up this morning singing that God is so good as this moment. Let us sing that song and let us dance to that rhythm for the rest of this day and the rest of this week as we move in and out of the spiritual self, the small self, the capital S self. Let us constantly come back. Constantly returning. Let that be the practice. Remembering, returning, remembering, returning, remembering, returning to the self that is whole, complete, fun, loving, abundant, rich, wise, well, and true. How grateful I am to remember this truth for myself, for you, and for everyone on this planet. And so we let the word go and let it be, with a grateful heart for its fulfillment now. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Darrell. That was beautiful. Just a reminder, we can always choose, can't we? Thank you, Darrell. A lot of wisdom there. So Cityside is supported by our community through the gifts of your time, talent, and your financial contributions. And together we practice conscious giving in support of creating this space and the experience that we have together in community. And I support Cityside financially and with the other time and talent part, because I say this all the time, but I really made a choice a long time ago that this was how I was going to live my life and that I wanted to be part of communities like this. This is not the only community that I've been part of, but that's why I support Cityside, because I know it helps me personally to be around other people who have that same commitment to living our life in a teaching and a philosophy that honors all people and helps us deal with our own craziness. Sometimes I just make myself laugh. No one's laughing. Come on, you guys. So there's many ways that you can give. On the giving page of our website, you can make a one-time gift using a debit card, credit card, or a bank account, or you can set up recurring giving. You can also make a request to give by mail if you prefer to send a check. And to text to give, you can text the word give to 312-757-8111. And if you're doing it for the first time, it will explain to you how to do that. And to give in person, for those in the room, you can put a gift in the giving box. So as we make our gifts, we always do a little gratitude practice. So I just invite you to turn within for a moment and just think about what happened this week that you are grateful for. Maybe it was something that went well, that really mattered to you. Maybe it was a great conversation you had with someone you love. I had a great conversation with my sister yesterday. I'm grateful for that. Maybe it was something that you got to do or express that matters to you. Maybe you had a flow of abundance come into your life. Just notice what you're grateful for. And I just invite you to make your gift from this place of gratitude. And join me in speaking our giving affirmation out loud, which is in the bulletin. And if you're in the live stream, it's going to pop up on the stream. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is.
Will my heart and soul say yes? Will your spirit still say yes? There is more that I require of thee. Will your heart and soul say yes?
How blessed are we to have this music team. Thank you, Tiffany and Greg. So I want to give special thanks to our Sunday team that made today's service possible: Keith, Tiffany, Greg, Dom, Judy, Rob, Jason, E.T., and Reverend Darrell. And to everyone who joined us on person and online, we hope to see you next week when Reverend Russ Laguerre will be continuing our October conversation, What Blocks Your Connection to Your True Self? And finally, please don't leave with anything heavy on your heart. If you'd like prayer support, you can request prayer on our website under the support tab. You will see prayer request, and if you type a prayer request, you can either ask for a written request or you can ask for a practitioner to call you on the phone, and they will call you and pray with you. So I know a lot of people are dealing with a lot right now. Please get support. That's why we're here. Please do that. So until next week, have a blessed week, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you, Reverend Amy. All right, City Side. Oh, yes, I know you need it. All that LOVE love. We got to get back to it, folks. We got to stay there. Consciously aware. Come on. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on, Greg Woods.
It seems to me that we don't always get along. If we are trying now, don't seem to try too long. Watching your neighbor seems to fill you with alarm. Just 'cause it's different now, don't mean it means you harm.
City living's got us all pent up inside, where we have privacy. We always run and hide. Time to discover why we are feeling this way. Let's let love have its say.
I know we need it. Brother says we need it. Sister says we need it. We all gonna need it someday. We seem to lose our way, somehow get left astray. That's why I'm here to say, gotta get back to love. I know we need it. Brother says we need it. Sister says we need it. We all gonna need it someday. We seem to lose our way, somehow get led astray. That's why I'm here to say, gotta get back to love.
Trouble started when we don't communicate. We build our future now, or we conceal our fate. Wasted energy on promises we break. We've wasted chances now, but still it ain't too late.
There is a common goal we all must realize. It's time to make a change in how we lead our lives. Time to discover why we are feeling this way. Let's let love save the day. I know we need it. Brother says we need it. Sister says we need it. We all gonna need it someday. We seem to lose our way, somehow got led astray. That's why I'm here to say, gotta get back to love. I know we need it. Brother says we need it. Sister says she needs it. We all gonna need it someday. We seem to lose our way, somehow got led astray. That's why I'm here to say, gotta get back to love.
I know you need it. Greg Woods on those vocals. We're getting him to sing a little bit more. That's right, Greg Woods on vocals and piano. Cityside family, thank you so much. Have a beautiful week. Enjoy your Sunday.